Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Wilhelm and welcome back to the channel for more Destiny 2 news and intel. And we have a ton of information to cover in today's video. To start off, we're going to be talking about some things that you probably want to do or pick up in the next 24 hours because they will be removed. And some of these will only be available for the first and last time before the launch of Edge of Fate and what will be the last weekly reset for this year before the Edge of Fate. So Edge of Fate arrives on July 14th. So tomorrow's weekly reset will be the last one of the year, the last one of the final shape. Overall, I've enjoyed the final shape. I think it was a good round out to what the Light and Dark saga was, and I'm looking forward to the new saga, which I'll also have some information on towards the end of the video, some actual lore information on the channel for a rare time. Not something I do normally, but I did find some interesting articles that I thought people might want to hear about just to get a little hype running for the Edge of Fate, for those of you who think the lore might be lacking. I know we were sort of spoiled with everything leading up to now, especially in the final shape, but the last year. We'll also cover, of course, all the weekly reset information as far as activities and some stuff that you're definitely going to want to do in the upcoming week. And, like I said, some stuff that you will probably want to jump on Destiny 2 as quickly as possible in order to pick up. There's also going to be a couple other things that I'll mention as far as solo farming goes and things that you might want to be on the lookout for in the Edge of Fate. And today starts Bungie Day, which will run until the end of the month. And during that whole period, we will have essentially double loot drops for all the new stuff for Rite of the Nine, but I'll cover that a little bit more in detail as we go through the video. But if you enjoy this content, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and turn on the bell to post notifications so you never miss out on any future Destiny 2 content like this. You can also follow me on Instagram. It'll be linked in the description box down below. Remember, any of those things also enter you into any future giveaways on this channel. We do one every 1,000 subscribers, so you never want to miss out. When we reach 100,000 subscribers on the channel, we'll be giving away a new console or a video card if you play on PC. We just passed 90,000 subscribers, so thank you all so much for all the amazing support over the last month, but really over the last year. I never really thought I would get anywhere close to this many subscribers, so I can't thank you enough. And almost 70% of the people who watch my channel regularly are still not subscribed, which is unbelievable if you think about it. So remember, subscribing is free, so if you want to support the channel, please remember to click that big red subscribe button, and there will be a little bell icon right next to it. That's just so you know when I post immediately. To get the notification as quickly as possible, you can click that. Again, both of those things will give you another entry into the next giveaway on this channel. And, of course, if you'd like to become a channel member or leave a tip or donation on the channel, you'll see those icons also near the subscribe button. Not only will that give you a ton of entries into the next giveaway for this video, but you'll also receive a personal shout out from me on a future video and an invite to play Destiny really whenever you like. I'll make sure to add you to my friends list, so you'll receive a personal firm request from myself. Towards the end of the video today, I want to do some shout outs for people who have donated or become channel members over the course of the last month, the last few weeks, so stick around for that if you are one of those people or think you might be one of those people. You can also stick around until the end of the video for the secret hashtag you can leave in the comments section for another entry into the next giveaway for this video. Remember, those stack between all videos. So if you haven't done this on a previous piece of content on this channel, you can always go back, check out another video, and of course, do it again. So the number one thing and easiest thing that I think everybody should want to do if you haven't already this week, but before tomorrow's weekly reset, is head over to our favorite vendor, XUR'S. Go over to the Strange Gear offers and pick up this incredible auto rifle, the I don't know why I said the the Choir of One. I don't know why I said the Chore of One. My bad reading continues. Also remember, if you leave a hashtag of any of the things I might mispronounce during the course of this video, that'll also give you another entry to the next giveaway, or of course, any feedback on any of the topics of discussion in today's video. But the Choir of One auto rifle, this is one of the best, if not the best, auto rifle in the game at the moment. It does amazing damage, especially to things like champions or just big adds in general, ones that have a lot of meaty hit points. This is like the go-to. And normally you'd you'd have to do the exotic mission in order to get this particular auto rifle. But right now you can just go over to XUR and pick it up for 23 strange coins, which is no strange coins at all. This is amazing for solo players. It's going to be excellent heading into the Edge of Fate. Auto rifles are getting a big buff. Weapon damage in general is getting a big buff, and the secondary feature of this exotic essentially, in some cases, hits like a heavy weapon. So definitely pick it up before tomorrow's reset. I don't know if it'll be here again next Friday. We're going to be getting another special exotic next Friday, but just in case this is not here as well, make sure to get it while you can. Also, pick up the Queen Breaker if you don't have it. This is a must-have for DPS and will be a very good exotic. It is at the moment, but also heading into the Edge of Fate. Hardlight, unique exotic weapon. Pick it up if you don't have it. The Arbalist is also an amazing exotic weapon to have, but it's also available right now from the Emissary in the Rite of the Nine. So there's also a couple other things. I'll head over to the Emissary before the end of today's video to cover just a few things that I think everybody should pick up. We also have those free cosmetics over at the Emissary. Also, a very decent Hawk Moon, and hand cannons are, I think, also going to be very good for PvP in the Edge of Fate. They actually are pretty good right now. The Hawk Moon is a very, very good weapon at the moment in PvP. Surprising to even myself, as I hadn't used it in quite some time up until recently. But this one with Snapshot Sight as well as Smooth Grip is I would say an 8 or 9 out of 10 as far as Hawk Moons go. For legendary weapons from XUR this week, there was a lot of decent stuff, a bunch of craftable weapons, which are always fun. Remember to pick up the Eternity's Edge, especially if you play on a Titan. This is a great role for a Titan. Remember that you cannot pick up this sword on a Titan. You have to log in on a Warlock, buy it, but then you can transfer it to a Titan. Same thing for the Quick Fang and the Crown Splitter, which were all featured weapons for specific classes. The Quick Fang for the Hunter, Crown Splitter for the Titan, and Eternity's Edge for the Warlock. But now, so long as you buy that particular item, whichever one you want, on that class, you can now equip it to any class, which is why this particular weapon is kind of broken when you throw it on a Titan. The armor this week was glitched out, not the mid-60 armor that we expect from XUR. Legendary armor will not be at XUR heading into the Edge of Fate. It'll be moved to 801, and I think it will rotate daily or weekly. There will be some daily rotators at 801 again. So, unfortunate about the legendary armor for anybody who is maybe just trying to get a few spikes in what will be the reallocation of armor heading into the Edge of Fate. We also had the Jotun Catalyst as well as the Leviathan's Breath Catalyst, and I would say if you have Leviathan's Breath, definitely pick up this Catalyst because bows seem like they're going to be amazing heading into the Edge of Fate for specifically one reason, which I'll also cover later in the video today. Radiant Flux for the Hunters was a decent roll. Kepher's Horn for the Titans was also a decent roll, and the Phoenix Protocol was a very good roll, and actually something that you'll probably definitely want to pick up for the Edge of Fate if you're playing on a Warlock. And Warlocks, I think, are going to be very good, especially for Day 1 raid stuff, just because of Well of Radiance and how weapon damage will be buffed with Well of Radiance. It's going to stack incredibly. And I'll probably cover this more in a later video, but essentially, When you're standing in your own Well of Radiance, you get a 40% buff to weapons damage, and all your weapons damage counts as super damage. So if you can buff super damage, you'll essentially be buffing your weapons damage as well, and weapons damage will be getting a huge buff heading into the Edge of Fate. So all of these things I think are going to stack. So for day one, DPS might just be a bunch of Well of Radiance warlocks all standing in their own Well of Radiance. Not totally sure about that, but certainly sounds like that's maybe not going to be as good as I'm thinking it could be, but I don't think it's going to be bad in any way. I think it's going to be probably, you know, up there, top tier DPS meta. We also had exotic class items available this week. I think exotic class items will be available every single week in the Edge of Fate. You, of course, still will need to do the Dual Destiny mission. Making our way away from XUR, I'll just cover some of the other vendors that will have their loot disappearing tomorrow that were definitely stuff you want to have if you don't yet. And then we'll cover all the other stuff that I mentioned as far as things for the upcoming week and those few interesting lore items that I wanted to talk about to maybe get the hype going a little bit for the Edge of Fate. Certainly got my mind thinking about some cool different story arcs that they could explore. We had the Nox Perennial with Threat Detector, Kickstarter, and the Wildcard Origin trait. This was a fully enhanceable weapon at Banshee-44, so might be worth picking it up. Fusion rifles are going to be good in the Edge of Fate. We had the Enigma with Threat Detector, Frenzy, and the Tempered Trust half. Remember, this is, even if you're crafting this weapon, probably the best half that you can craft on any glaive, as it increases your melee speed by 50%. We have the Sail Spy Pitch Glass with Moving Target, Vorpal Weapon, Right Hook, also can be crafted. We have the 7th Seraph Saw, Clown Cartridge Mulligan, actually a decent roll, even though this is just a sort of vanilla weapon at this point. We had the Huscow with Pulse Monitor and Demolitionist. And then we had the Hollow Denial with well-rounded Dragonfly. Dragonfly is going to be excellent. It's getting a huge buff to that perk heading into the Edge of Fate. And Extrovert, this one can also be crafted, of course. Over at Commander Zavala for the Vanguard this week. And this is the last time this weapon will be available for who knows how long. And remember, the enhanced Adept weapons, even the enhanced weapons, are still going to be worth about a Tier 2 or Tier 3 heading into the Edge of Fate. And it's going to take a little while to get up to those Tier 4, Tier 5 weapons. So make sure, if you can, farm out the GM Nightfall this week, which is also going to be Sunset heading into the Edge of Fate. No more Grandmaster Nightfalls. Make sure to pick up the Lotus Eater Adept. It's an Adept enhanced weapon. This is going to be worth a Tier 3, in my opinion, just because of how good this weapon is. It's one of the best Vanguard weapons available, if not the best Vanguard weapon currently available. Might even be worth a Tier 4 in the Edge of Fate. We also had the Cruel Mercy. Even if you can just get the normal enhanced Lotus Eater, it's still going to be very worth it for you, especially for solo players. And this is much easier to come by, as you can just do the normal Nightfall. But remember, those will be removed, so make sure to pick it up. I believe next week will be the Wild Style Grenade Launcher. I don't think anybody's really after that anymore, but who knows? Could still be decent in the Edge of Fate. We had the Mod Crease Bright Dust shader available this week. We also had different exotics ornaments for all three classes. I believe the one for the Hunter was really, really cool and a rare one. We had this very cool one for the Sunbracers, which actually has a legendary armor set which goes with it, so you can get this same aesthetic for your entire armor set. It's available, I believe, for silver currently in the store. I can't remember what page specifically, but if you do know, please let me know in the comments section down below. Of course, that'll give you another entry into the next giveaway for this video. You'll also have more free Bright Dust next week, so make sure to pick that up in case you're looking for this armor set, which was the secondary armor set, not the featured armor sets for all 3 classes from this last year's Festival of the Lost. So if you're trying to get this you can still buy it for 6,000 Bright Dust. It'll also be leaving us once the Edge of Fate launches, I believe, or it will just be only available for silver at that point. But make sure to pick up your free Bright Dust. It's definitely a cool armor set and one that I've been saving up for. As you can see, I'm almost there. Should have enough after tomorrow's reset. For featured Bright Dust this week, we also had the Break Shot weapon ornament for the Sunshot, which is super cool, and I believe this was the first time this has ever been sold for Bright Dust. Also, some other interesting exotics. We had the Refit Kit ship, the Pragmat Shell, which essentially looks like Sputnik. You can leave a hashtag Sputnik down below for another entry into the next giveaway for this video. Potent Mixtures and the M3D1 Agilos. Probably said that incorrectly, but looks like a gurney. Kind of fun. If you hadn't seen this one, just a bit old school. Down at Same 14 for Trials this week, and next week's Trials will be the last one until I believe September as well. I don't know if that's going to return the same time as Iron Banner, but essentially all the featured PvP playlists that are on rotation, so Iron Banner and Trials, will all be on a hiatus for at least a month. And I think they're going to be returning with some updates, but if you haven't had a chance to farm out any of these weapons, make sure to do so, because, or at least either this week, in the next 24 hours, or next weekend. We have the XUR'S Wrath, and next week I believe we'll have the XUR'S Care pulse rifle. This is actually a really good weapon for PvE if you're a solo player. Quickly, before we head on to next week's information, or while we head on to next week's information, for the next 24 hours, if you were looking to farm out the King's Fall raid for the Touch of Malice, that is still one of the featured raids, so you can repeat the last encounter, or any encounter, on one character as many times as you want, and still have a chance to get the exotic. We had the Operation Seraph Shield for our exotic mission this week. Over on the moon, we had our other featured raid in the Garden of Salvation. If you were looking to get the Divinity, you, of course, won't be getting it as a drop, but this is where you need to go if you want to finish your quest for Divinity. One of the more difficult exotics to get. And over on Europa, and let me know if anybody had any more luck getting the Icebreaker from the Vespers Host, which is the farmable dungeon this week, and will be, of course, reset tomorrow. But Vespers Host was bugged for quite a long time and was not giving repeatable chances on the exotic when it was the featured dungeon, which is the Icebreaker exotic, one of my favorite all-time exotics, and one I still don't have. I was still not able to get it this week, but I want to know if anybody found that they were able to finally get it after trying and not being it, or having it drop as it should previously. So just let me know. Anybody get the Icebreaker this week in the comments section down below? Give me another entry to the next giveaway for this video. Now, heading on to next week, we will have the Luda Palooa starting through Rite of the Nine, which will have increased drops to holofoils. We'll also have increased heretical drops from the Court of Blades. So if you haven't been farming Court of Blades, now might be the time to jump back in. I think there'll also be increased drops from just the Nether as well. So just all heretical drop sources will be able to get double drops. The holofoil drops will also, I think, be great, as well as just being able to get the currency. So I think Ghost of the Deep will be the featured dungeon to start off the week, but I think they'll rotate, or actually, I think Prophecy will be the featured dungeon, and the just materials will also be increased as well. So if you're looking to farm out any of those cosmetics, this is going to be probably the best week to do so. We'll also, for the upcoming week, have for our featured raids over on Europa, we'll have Deepstone Crypt if you're looking to farm out Eyes of Tomorrow. And over on Neptune, we will have the Root of Nightmares as the other feature raid if you're looking to farm out the conditional Finality shotgun. One of our featured dungeons for the upcoming week will also be, if I remember where it is, no, not here, the Spire of the Watcher dungeon. Now, this is going to be really important because it'll be the last chance before the Edge of Fate to farm out the Hierarchy of Needs Exoitc bow. And this bow is probably going to be one of the best DPS weapons in the Edge of Fate, especially at the beginning, because it's gotten a huge buff, and now any bow that you shoot through the portal created by this Exoitc, also that portal is going to rotate with the user, but any bow, even those shot by your teammates, will do increased damage, not just the Hierarchy of Needs. So you'll have repeat chances to farm out this Exoitc in the upcoming week, and like I said, with Leviathan's Breath, a heavy damage bow, or heavy slot bow, with that catalyst, it's just going to be amazing. There's going to be a ton of primary bows that are going to be excellent when used with this. So if you have one, say, Warlock in a Well of Radiance, or a bunch of Warlocks with a Well of Radiance, one with this bow and everybody else shooting through that portal, you can see that this is going to be incredible for DPS. I think it's going to be the meta for DPS. So don't miss out on this bow and your chance to farm it in the upcoming week. I think it's probably going to be one of the more important things to do. And now I'm going to just talk quickly about some lore stuff, which, like I said, I never really talk about too much, but this will just be to sort of round out this video, and then we'll do some shout outs. But recently, you know, we have this new character coming into the game, Lodi, and I was sort of looking at this character and thinking, like, this character looks really out of place to me. Like, since when are we going with, like, a Half-Life aesthetic in Destiny? Like, I mean, this guy looks right out of Half-Life. But there might be a reason for that. I didn't really get the whole earpiece thing. Why doesn't he have a helmet on, but why is his, you know, armor look like Guardian stuff? I don't know. What are we going for here? It was almost like they took a Guardian, you know, and put a Half-Life character's head on them. There might be a reason for this. Now, in the Edge of Fate, we're going to be dealing a lot more with time travel and parallel dimensions and all of that kind of stuff. And I think Lodi is going to be, obviously, a traveler from a different time period. A lot of people are assuming, like, the 70s, because when we saw the more recent trailer, it looked like something out of the 70s. This is the one where Lodi walks into a room that looks like, you know, again, very 70s aesthetic. What he's wearing has a very 70s attire to it. There's a phone on a table that's not connected to anything. It's a old, like, wall-mounted corded phone, not actually attached to anything, but very kind of cool. Definitely out of the realm of stuff that we've seen in Destiny 2 up to this point. So there is some rumors going around that Lodi might actually be our first Guardian ever, trapped in some sort of time warp. So, like, have you ever heard of the block universe hypothesis? It's like everything that happens in the future or the past kind of happens simultaneously, because if you happen in the future, it's also happening in the not only the future of the present, but also the past of the present, if you're going back in time. Anyway, don't want to get too into the weeds of that. If you'd like to know more about the block universe, you can let me know in the comment section down below. If you know what I'm talking about, let me know. Always interested to hear all your thoughts and comments. Remember, those will give you other entries in the next giveaway. But there's also a sort of rumor, and it was kind of shown a little bit in the trailer when Lodi meets Ikora, that he seems to know Ikora. Ikora doesn't seem to react or know who he is, but that is also sort of lending itself to the rumor that this is time travel, and Lodi actually knew Ikora way back, because we don't really know the backstory of Ikora. We've only known, you know, a couple of Guardian backstories like Commander Zavala, and we don't really know exactly what his life was before. We just know what happened to him when he was reborn as a Guardian. So remember, all Guardians were dead at one point, and your ghost found you and basically reanimated you, and now you're this super being. Ikora is the same way. We don't really know anything about Ikora. So there is this rumor that Lodi actually knew Ikora, and that Ikora actually worked with Lodi at wherever this place was in the 70s before she died at some point and then was reanimated by her ghost into the Ikora that we all know now. So I think we actually might get a lot of Ikora's backstory heading into the Edge of Fate. But overall, I just sort of like this whole, I don't know, the mystery surrounding this time travel stuff. And I like the idea of stuff that had happened before, stuff that might have set up the future that we currently inhabit in Destiny 2, happening kind of in the future of our present moment, but also in the past of our actual reality. So I think all of that's going to be very cool. And, you know, I didn't want to go into, I don't really know much more, can't really go into much more detail at the moment because I don't want to spoil too much. But just that I wanted to talk about, and I thought, you know, if you are interested in the lore, I was always sort of a peripheral lore guide, or lore guy in Destiny 2. I wasn't like super into it, but I liked knowing that there was some mystery involved. And I think that that was something that sort of went missing somewhere along the lines, I want to say, you know, around maybe Lightfall or somewhere in there. But maybe even Witch Queen, even though Witch Queen was great, I kind of lost interest a little bit in the lore. So this whole parallel dimension, parallel time thing, I think is going to be really cool. And will add a lot of mystery to it. Just having a character in Lodi that we don't know anything about, I think, is actually kind of cool, even if he does look like straight out of Half-Life. Let me know if you think he looks like a Half-Life character down below. And that is going to conclude all the information in today's video. Hopefully you found something in this video helpful. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, as I said before. Remember to leave a hashtag down below, the Edge of Fate, or hashtag Year of Prophecy, or hashtag Renegades, or hashtag Ikora, or hashtag Lodi, or any other thing you can think of relevant to today's video. Hashtag Archie. I always forget to do Archie, and everybody loves Archie. Also, before we finish today, wanted to give those shout-outs to DJ Oros, C. John, Charlie Boy, Sark, Kamar, Rage Forever, DG Striker, Rabbidice, Justin St. John, Brizak Afus. I think I say that name incorrectly every single time, and I'm so sorry for it. But Ronald Johnson, Lord Sinister, J. Tally, Jade, Most Unknown, Richard Hartnett, Velvet Hammer, Chip and Soda, Nomad, Chris Scott, Joe Kim Upling, and Aaron Batts. Thank you all so much for all your support on the channel, for either becoming a channel member or donating to the channel. Thank you again. I can't thank you enough. If you leave a hashtag any one of their names also in the comments section down below, it'll give you another entry into the next giveaway. And that is going to conclude all the information finally for today's video. I know it was a long one, but hopefully you found something helpful. And once more, I am Wilhelm Scream. We'll see you over the course of this last week. But until then, later!